This episode is brought to you by DoorDash. Stay tuned for more of them later, and stay tuned to hear more about them more later in the theory. Dun 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 dun. Hello Internet, and welcome to Movie Theory. Sorry about my movie critic intro being in there. I couldn't think of a better intro. And did not want to use Lightning Bliss's intro. Alright, so let's go for... Okay, I have my secret rift door nailed shut, hopefully. And this time, this video is free from a collab. I've already done one collab before with Anime America, which has no views for some odd reason. What is it about Disney movies that give us all nostalgia? They all have great lessons, and they all teach us to follow our dreams, even if those dreams can get out of hand. But one example of this universal theory is Alice in Wonderland. It's about a little girl that has an overactive imagination. But she ends up creating a fantasy world down a rabbit hole. Which, if you've seen my review of Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, which I'm gonna be making soon, that's gonna have consequences. But for this theory, I'm going all out. I'm going all out to prove once and for all that Wonderland is in the magic satchel. I wonder if Ian's home. Be around a three-headed guard dog! Ah! Oh, Anime America. What brings you here? I hear you're doing something on Alice in Wonderland. No, it's not an Alice in Wonderland anime. It's just, regular movie Alice in Wonderland. I don't care about that. I just want to do this review. So we're not doing a list. No, this is a theory. And I don't know if I don't know if I'll be able to get through this theory. This has spawned into now a 3-part mini-series saga. This has turned into a 3-part mini-trilogy. I think I'm calling it the Wonderland Trilogy. Wouldn't Chronicles be better? Look, the title Chronicles was already, the Spiderwick Chronicles was already taken. So I couldn't use the Wonderland Chronicles. It's the best I have to work with. When you're not copying Nickelodeon, you're just adding Wonderland into the Spiderwick Chronicles. You're right. Okay, let's get on with the theory. Alice... Oh, cut the intro! If we're gonna do this review in an hour, if we're gonna do this intro in 30 minutes, we have to skip the intro. Thick. So, this theory on Alice in Wonderland being deep in the magic satchel. Well, the magic satchel, as you know, is something you can easily just reach into and pull out anything from thin air. Yeah, believe me. If you remember my last video yesterday, I tried that, didn't work. I'm making this theory because I noticed something in the original Disney film that really caught my eye. Alice pulling a hanky out of the middle of nowhere. That's not even possible unless you have the magic satchel technique. Or maybe it was in her apron pocket? Come on, she had magic mushrooms in her apron pocket at the time. Do you think she wanted to get the magic mushrooms smushed by a hanky somewhere in her pocket? You have a point. That handkerchief, that thing that Alice pulls out of the middle of nowhere, doesn't come in until Alice is all out of ideas and she's alone and hopeless. So I have no ideas how this could play out, because I have to think about Wonderland's inhabitants and how they affect the world. So part 1 will be discovering if any other Wonderland inhabitants have the magic satchel. Part 2 will be deciding if Alice has access to that technique. And the third theory would be if Wonderland's rabbit hole is really just a version of the magic satchel technique. So let's go into some of the Alice in Wonderland characters in depth. How about we go into some of the Alice in Wonderland characters in depth? The first character we meet is Alice's sister, who I cannot predict has a magic satchel. I'm sorry, but I see no magic satchel in her. Not so ever. She was just a character there for comic relief. Sort of like Mushu in Mulan. But then there's the doorknob. Oh, what I have to say about him. Can I say what I want to say about him first? Sure. If I was Alice, I would have just kicked his door down. But no, she decides to play the doorknob's games to try to get out. But when she realizes all hope is lost because that rotten doorknob made her play her in his silly game, he found humor in it. Which I may have found a little humor in Alice's gigantic growing. What? I found a little humor in it. There wasn't a lot of humor to be laughed at in this scene. And might I also remind you, this was Disney's first attempt in doing an Alice in Wonderland adaptation. Actually, their second attempt. Wait, they had a first attempt? The first attempt was a short film called Adventures of Alice. Trust me, if you look it up, it gets weird fast. But I'm not here to talk about that, oh no. Phew! I thought I would be getting aboard the yawn train. Okay, so now let me see what happens if... And also, how do you get past the nails? I nailed my secret rift door shut. You know that I have access to the secret rift, right? Only Bronies and Pegasus sisters have use of the secret rift. And I should know, it took me forever to find the secret rift. Sometimes I wish Lightning Blitz was a little bit more assertive where she keeps the door. If I was Alice in her situation, I would have been put up with all the doorknobs games. If I were her, I would have put my hands on my hips and secretly wanted the doorknob just tell her the key was on the table at the first time. He could have just told her, hey, get the key and then drink the bottle. But instead, he makes Alice believe she can get out by just drinking from a potion bottle. 'Cause comedy. The doorknob finds humor in all of Alice's pain and torment in their little game. Which then Uh-oh. And also, this movie spawned the live-action remake, which is a reason why Disney needed to fix the talking doorknob in the original. I'm thinking the doorknob has access to that technique, because the bottle and the box didn't just appear in front of Alice regularly. I'm thinking that he must have used some way to pull them out of nowhere. Or maybe it's just Wonderland magic. Nothing's logical in this place. So it could be either one of my theories. I need to think on this. Dun 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 dun. I know going out for dinner is harder than you think. But good news for you is that there's an app just for you. DoorDash. DoorDash is a free app that connects to any browser you own. And because you're watching my collab with Anime America, you can get your first meal absolutely free. Dun 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 dun. Welcome back. Sorry about that sudden intermission. I was clobbering a doorknob. By clobbering, I mean I fed it to the three-headed guard dog. And might I remind you, the final part of your game made Alice cry. You should have just told her that she should have stood up, because if she stood up, she could have easily just gotten the key without any tears. And Alice just wanted to get home through all of this. She wanted to catch the white rabbit and then ask him how she can get home. But she doesn't decide to go home until later on in the film. And Alice does accomplish this goal pretty easily, even though it took her a few hurdles to get there. And what hurdles were those? Well, almost beheaded.